What is going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. A lot of you aren't subscribed, and I produce a lot of freaking content for you guys. That would be great. So today is all about the Puma Ultra Carbon. We are on probably the most beautiful grass pitch that I've ever trained on. I've played on some pretty incredible ones over my career, but holy, this is open to the public, kind of, and it is incredible. So I wanted to wait to do the playtest on an FG surface because there is absolutely zero chance that my joints will survive a session or a game on AG with this pair of football boots. I'm hoping they do. I am so okay that they don't do an AG carbon plate, but I am interested if they do an MG or an AG non-carbon Ultra 5. So that's what I'm kind of interested in. I'm definitely going to see if I can get a pair of those because I think that would be awesome. Let's hop into the full playtest of the Puma Ultra 5 Carbon. All right, here we go. Getting these on feet. Now, very, very cool looking in my opinion. Love the colors. They remind me of those old Superfly 3s that had like the crazy purple, pink flame colors on them. Ronaldo wore them obviously quite a bit. That was like his boot, but they were that's like probably one of my favorite silo / colorways of all time. Now, getting these on feet, they are definitely still an Ultra, so they're not nearly as soft as the upper from the Vapor. They are probably less stiff than the upper of the F50, but the F50 broke in really, really quickly. And so as much as it is really stiff and sort of hard to play with, this boot feels like it's going to take a little bit longer than those to break in, simply because of sort of the shape and the design. That being said, getting my feet into these versus the Ultra Ultimate, the previous generation, is night and day. I do not feel like this to me is a completely different boot. I know the upper is pretty similar. It's a textile beige. I say that all the time. Textile base mesh synthetic material. And then you have their knit here in the lacing system area and obviously like just around the collar. But for me, this upper, like as you can see, I can actually wiggle my toes. And I think the non-carbon edition of these is actually going to be quite an awesome boot to play in, particularly because it's going to have less kind of rigidity here in the forefoot area, because this stud in particular, the one that sits right on like the ball of my foot, if I stand up and I, kind of show you guys the boots also, but if I stand like this on the balls of my feet, it's very obvious under my toes where that stud is. Like I can feel it every time I plant with my toes. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're somebody who would rather have a flatter sole plate, I probably wouldn't recommend these, and that's like right away I can say that. But overall, generally speaking, that stud I think is going to be pretty insane for like push off this way. So as I push off that way, or as I come, this direction one step, it's going to be really aggressive moving forward. First things first, obviously, we got to warm up with a little bit of the ladder, a little bit of acceleration. Nice, feels good. Feels really good. I think I'm definitely going to have to take these off during the session just from that midfoot area, but honestly, pretty impressed with how these feel straight away. And coming through the ladder, you can really feel how aggressive the traction is. Like this, I'm going out on a limb here. I know we're like not even probably 10 minutes into the session, but I honestly think these might even be too aggressive for a proper FG pitch. These might only be suitable for like SG because of how aggressive and long the studs are, but let's keep going and see how we go. And yes, Puma would like me to say, which they don't have any say in this video, by the way, but they would like me to say, it's called a carbon speed system. So yeah, carbon speed system. It's pretty aggressive, and it's almost too aggressive for this pitch, which, as you can see, is literally perfect. So let's keep going. I want to talk a little bit about the upper too, because it's got the grip control on it, and it's definitely a sticky sensation. Like, I can already tell how grippy this is just based on the last couple dribbles, because it is very, very sticky, which is actually kind of nice. It reminds me a lot of the GX1. It's actually, I would say, stickier even than that, because it doesn't have, it's not like a weave, it's just a coating. And so the coating is actually quite aggressive. Like, any sort of movement like this back and forth, I feel like the ball is just like stuck to my foot. Like, it has very, very, very significant grip, which is great. The other piece of tech that I'm starting to feel pretty significantly is the Power Tape SQT, or SQD, excuse me. I wouldn't say it's incredible, but it is providing quite a bit of lockdown. Part of that is because the silo is like quite narrow, and so there isn't a whole lot of give to the upper. But I would imagine for somebody who, who fits into this boot perfectly straight out of the box, it's definitely going to be one of those boots that is going to fit you super responsively and have a lot of responsiveness, so that you can have those really sharp cuts and not have to worry that, because the sole plate is so, it's like, it's almost too aggressive and too stiff and too responsive. But as you pivot, you don't want a sole plate that doesn't move or flex and an upper that's like really wobbly. So I would say the combination of the Power Tape plus the sole plate, it's actually pretty good. One thing that's starting to get a little irritating is the heel area. Now, I know they've put some time and effort into the way that the heel area is constructed, but I just think Puma hasn't done it yet. They haven't really nailed it. If you're a Puma exec and you're watching this, you can hire me. I am a consultant for boots. So if you're watching this, hello, nice to meet you. Would love to work with you on your heel areas, because there are other companies on the market that are doing it so much better and with way less quote unquote tech. These look really dope and really fancy, but I'm still getting some hot spots, and that's not great. So it'd be really nice if we could work something out and you could do better with your heel areas. All right, I'm gonna take this opportunity before we get into some of the passing and shooting to take the boots off. They are starting to feel a little bit better. The forefoot area is actually feeling great. I would say that usually I'm not a huge fan of sole plates that sort of arc up. These aren't super extreme. These are definitely, I think, a slightly different angle than the Speed Flow, Speed Portal, Crazy Fast. That being said, they still are a little bit of that upward curve. And so although this is a really nice and soft forefoot area, like I'm definitely getting the feeling that I want out of this forefoot area, it's not providing enough like for my foot to be able to flex up and down like I want it to. And I think the shooting will really accentuate what I'm talking about, because as I've said in many, many videos, the way that you get a really nice dipping shot or knuckle shot is when you actually flex your foot this way as opposed to the upward curve. The upward curve, like this has, is great for pushing off, great for forward movement, it's great for energy return, but it's not what I need for when you shoot the ball. You want your toes down, like really pointed, almost arced down. And so that's one thing that I am actually curious about, whether this is gonna be like the way to go. Back to the Ortholite, which is that technology. In the heel area, it's definitely better than the Future. It's definitely better than the King. So nice work, you're improving slowly, but it's still a little bit too hard in my opinion. Like, there's just not enough padding back here, and although the Ortholite is supposed to be this like really nice quality material, it's just, it's not quite there. Okay, I don't know what happened there because it was recording and then it wasn't. Okay, I know I'm being really hard on the Ultra, but this is coming from somebody who spoke outwardly, like I was really harsh about the last generation for good reason. I thought it was a terrible football boot. This is a massive improvement, and there are still things that I think could be done better with it, even though as a concept, I think this is freaking awesome. So let's get these back on and let's get some passing going. And then we'll hop into the shooting and really test out like, hey, how is this, you know, is the forefoot gonna allow me to get those really nice dip shots or like up and over type of shots. So this is just a little like cone weave. All I'm trying to do is pass it into the bottom corner. I'm not trying to shoot right now because I don't have a wall to play against. So really all I'm trying to do is get around and then play it in just to see like, again, kind of how that passing surface is. Now, because the sole plate is so incredibly stiff, you're not getting a lot of like ability to manipulate your foot in a way that helps with the type of, you know, passing that, you know, is completely fluid. I totally love carbon plates, but they have to have enough give that it doesn't feel like I'm basically playing on a steel plate. That was not what I meant to do, but I got a little carried away. So it feels good. The passing feels great. The upper actually feels very seamless. Like it's very, very thin and there isn't a lot of distractions, which is great. But what I'm not getting is sort of the step-by-step customizability of being able to articulate my ankle and my foot in a way that is conducive to exactly the passing technique that I'm going for. I know that's a really complicated way of just being like, the sole plate is incredibly stiff, but that's just what I'm feeling so far. All right, right foot, here we go. Get it in the other side. Yeah. Pretty good. Again, like the upper feels good and the upper actually performs really well and is pretty soft. But the sole plate is just so incredibly, incredibly stiff. So yeah, I think the non-carbon edition is actually going to be unbelievable. Okay, maybe I take that back. Maybe not unbelievable, but it's going to be very, very good. Nice and easy. Very, very good. Yeah, I mean, look, these are still probably too aggressive for this kind of pitch even. Like if you wear this on AG, you are like, good luck, your ankles are gonna suffer. I would say this is almost only for like an even thicker grass pitch than this, because this is like almost like playing on AG surfaces. So just something to think about. All right, using this little box here per usual, little cuts in and out of here. Get kind of whatever little freestyle move you want, and then I'm really trying to wrap it into that back post. So as we come in, cut, inside, that's fine. Obviously I need a little bit more, but I'm really get a sense of now we're starting to understand, okay, sole plate is super, super aggressive. And it's quite, again, that's the one complaint I have. I love the concept of this boot, but it really is stiff to the point where I don't know if it's all that functional. So there you go, a little bit more of a laceless strike. That's not bad, especially if you hit the ball like kind of closer to your ankle than on the toe. Obviously to get a dipping shot, you kind of have to hit it with your toe and then get up and over, but there we go. So that's fine. I definitely feel like the sole plate did a pretty good job of keeping my foot locked, but I want a little bit more bend. I want that kind of like in between. Little cone line drill, same idea, just trying to wrap it into the far post. See how we go. Okay, getting there. One of the things that I think is important to understand from my perspective, and maybe this is like a different way of saying what I've just said for the last 5 minutes or so, is, if you're switching boots a lot, like I am, it's frustrating sometimes to have a boot that's like so radically different than what you're used to that it just is annoying, which is why a boot like this, in order to be in my rotation, I'd have to wear it like over and over and over again for like successive training sessions for me to feel comfy in something like this, because it's so aggressive and so much different than everything else. All right, guys, taking these off one more time. The outside of my feet are feeling pretty cramped in these, I gotta admit. They're much better, again, than the Ultra Ultimate, but they still have quite a narrow shape. And because obviously the sole plate is pretty narrow through the midfoot area, as you can see, the sole plate is super, super narrow. That just means that the ability for it to stretch is just a little bit more difficult than a lot of other boots. But overall, man, I am both simultaneously in love with these boots and also, how do I say, not like annoyed or whatever, but just like I'm simultaneously absolutely in love with the way they look, the way that the carbon, how aggressive they are. But for me, I think this is just gonna be a boot that I test and do the 1 month review on and then probably never touch again. I imagine that if the Ultra 5, the non-carbon edition, is what I've heard people say it is, I think that's gonna be the boot that would actually make my rotation, so long as it's like a little bit less aggressive version of this that has a little bit of flex to the sole plate. Maybe the upper is slightly different, the heel area maybe is a little bit better. Awesome. These though, I could see just being in a glass case, because this will go down as like one of the most insane speed boot offerings ever, in my opinion. Like, this is so aggressive and so awesome, but it's not a boot, at least now, that I feel like I feel confident and comfortable just like jumping in and going to play around with. All right, guys, you know what it is. Crossbar challenge 2 from the top of the D, or top of the box, I mean. 1 right foot, 1 left foot. We're gonna start, let's go right foot first. Little ping off the crossbar. Here we go. Ooh, unlucky. Here we go. Second one, left foot. Get in. Oh man, so close. All right, free kick time. All right, here we go. Normal free kick action. Top bins, that's what we're trying for. Just a little up and over the wall. Here we go. Okay, great swerve, great whip on that. Let's try to get that a little bit closer to center first. Same thing, just 1 step up, nice and easy. Yeah, okay, decent shot. If that goes through the wall. If it doesn't, fair play. Last one here. Free kicks, pretty good. The Grip Control Pro actually feels pretty significant when taking a free kick like this. Better. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. So Grip Control Pro definitely aids, I think, in this type of work. So whether you're doing a whipped cross in, whether you're doing a dead ball free kick, bending a pass like around somebody, the Grip Control Pro actually works really well. And I still stand by what I said earlier. I do think that the upper, especially in the forefoot area, is actually quite good. It's just the juxtaposition between the flexible and nice forefoot and the super, super outrageously stiff sole plate. All right, here we go. Right-footed. Try to get that weak foot action going. Same idea though, whipped into the top left-hand corner, 1 step up. And again, really trying to feel if I can manipulate the ball in a little bit of a better way. Oh my days. It's coming back, watch this. Oh, half decent connection with it, but just whiffed. But what a great free kick, eh? And that really just comes down to technique, right? I am feeling that dead balls with these, because of the way that the sole plate is curved up, I do feel like the whip is much easier. Here we go. That was a little bit poor, but you get the idea. Quite a lot of whip there. And the last one here, I do feel like pointing my toes up as I'm coming this way, as I plant, and as I'm pointing, instead of pointing down, it has a little bit of lift to it. So I'm pushing into the carbon is pushing up against me, and it's getting that nice, like that type of spin, which I'm kind of going for with a shot like this that I want up and over the wall and into the top bins. Here we go. Oh, that was kind of poor. Well, we're gonna end that there. Let's hop into the final thoughts. All right, guys, final thoughts on the Puma Ultra Carbons. It's a mixed bag for me. As I said before, I'm gonna stand kind of by what I said when I took them off for the last time. These are such a freaking awesome looking football boot. They're such a freaking awesome concept. However, I think in previous carbon plated shoes, if we go back to the kind of the first set of them, which was the Puma V1.1 or whatever it was, yeah, you guys know what I'm saying. Like Samuel Eto'o wore them. Those carbon plated shoes were pretty reasonably flexible as far as carbon goes. We jump forward to similar era, 2010, with Nike's Elite Series, 2009, 10, 11, 12, something in that range. And then, of course, with their Superfly 4. And those still had quite a bit of flex to them. Good snapback, but quite a bit of flex to them. Then we move into Speedflow, which had, in my opinion, that Carbitex insert had the perfect combination of bend, flex, like you could manipulate that sole plate in all the ways that I'm looking for without feeling super stiff, but with all the benefits of the snapback. Then you move into these, which is like by far the stiffest and most aggressive traction I think I've ever tried in my life. These are absolutely bananas when it comes to traction. So if you're somebody who's like, I want the most locked in sensation, or not locked in, I guess, but if you want the stiffest, the most aggressive traction you can find in a football boot, these are the ones to buy. I love them for all of the tech and all of the like kind of weird, dumb decisions that Puma made with these. But I love that they made these boots, and I'm so happy that Puma made a boot that is everything this boot is. And then from a critical perspective, like, hey, actually, are these any good? I would say that these are gonna be pretty difficult for me to break in, honestly. They feel pretty good so far, but they do have, just on that width area, they are gonna be a little bit kind of difficult for me to break in, kind of right in this area here. But at the end of the day, it's really gonna be, for me, ooh, socks are getting soaking wet. That's not good. For me, it's really gonna be about, you know, how tangible of a play experience are these gonna be? Is this just gonna be way too much? And I think that's probably gonna be the case because of the way that the upper is pretty flexible and pretty nice, but the sole plate has absolutely zero give. That's just, I don't know, something that I'm not really interested in. So that's, yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up my review. As I said before, massive, even despite all its shortcomings, I do really, really appreciate what these boots are. I really appreciate that they are much, much better than Ultra Ultimate. If you are interested in like the most aggressive playing experience, definitely pick these up. I'm really stoked to try the non-carbon edition of the Ultra 5. So that review should be coming pretty soon. I'm gonna get a pair of those. And yeah, that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you liked this video and got value from it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, guys, be awesome, take care. I'll see y'all in the next video.